It was only a matter of time before the Celentine merchants ventured too far from their trade routes over the South Seas, searching for the rich lands that might lay beyond. But they were unprepared for the terrors that would awaken and the devastation they would unleash upon the face of Etheria. The lands they discovered were rich in gold and silver. Their inhabitants, the snake-like Sarathi, called this land Kashan, and it was not long before the Celentines began to slay these peaceful creatures and take their treasure for themselves. Soon all manner of freebooters, profiteers, and adventurers began flocking to the shores of Kashan, and it was on one such journey as a huge Celentine vessel sailed past Mordanian, the Sundered Isle, that a frightening, almost unnatural storm was seen in the distance. Fortunately, the crew was curious and put to shore to take a look, for although Mordanian was guarded by the High Elves and forbidden to the mortal races, something about the storm seemed terribly wrong. Mordanian was like a scene from some warped and twisted nightmare. A huge dark portal hung in the air, evidence of the fact that some new and terrible presence had entered the world. All of the High Elven Guardians had been slain by this unknown creature, and the only clue as to what might have transpired was in the body of a single Sarathi, a snake man from Kashan, who lay dead at the very base of the portal. The seers of Kalpaxatol already knew of your quest. One of their number had traveled north seeking aid against the human invaders. They had found the High Elves on the Sundered Isle of Mordanian, but the Elves were loath to interfere in the affairs of men and told the Sarathi to seek help elsewhere. The seer was angry, and sensing the nearby rift in the plains, called forth a demon to attack the Elven Guardians. A creature had been waiting on the other side of the rift for centuries, perhaps even millennia, and it answered the summons, slaying them all. As for where this creature was now, the seers believed that it had fled to the wastes in the northwest. This demon lord had indeed fled into the wastes, and using strange magic, it had already fashioned a huge fortress from solid iron, with a door barred by 3 massive locks. Its name was Gorgon, Lord of Destruction, and there was little doubt that it was kin to Bane, Sartek, Antharg, and Melkor, the 4 horsemen who had entered Etheria 3,000 years ago during the Sundering. It was indeed the 5th horseman, but how to stop it? It would need careful thought, and it was not a battle that would be fought today. The Dark Dwarves were nearby in Khazd-dûl. They were cunning, and they would be glad to know of this new threat. Perhaps they could help. Rune Lord Brax, Siege Master of Khazd-dûl, was very old and very wise. These demon lords were not simple to defeat, not simple at all. Just as Bane, Lord of Death, could not be slain, and Sartek, the Lord of War, could not be defeated in battle, so it was that Gorgon, Lord of Destruction, could not be destroyed. Brax suggested that an attempt be made to trap the creature within its fortress instead. Firstly, the 3 keys to its door would need to be found to lock the Gorgon inside, and secondly, the castle would need to be buried deep within the wastes. To that end, Brax knew an arcane earthquake spell that could open the ground and swallow it up. But where were the 3 keys? Most likely the servants of Gorgon had them, but they could be anywhere in Etheria. One of the keys to the Iron Fortress lay in the body of the creature besieging Melkor, the Lord of Famine. Perhaps the first task of Gorgon, Lord of Destruction, was to destroy his biggest rivals in Etheria, the other demon lords, Bane, Sartek, and Melkor. One of the keys to the Iron Fortress lay on the body of the creature besieging Lord Bane, the Lord of Death. These strange skull-like creatures seemed to be the servants of Gorgon, perhaps his lieutenants. One of the keys to the Iron Fortress lay on the body of the creature besieging Lord Antharg, the Lord of Plague. It seemed that not even the most dreadful diseases held any fear for Gorgon, Lord of Destruction. When the full set of 3 keys was complete, it would be time to take the war to Gorgon directly. The door to the Iron Fortress was at last locked and bolted. Gorgon, the Lord of Destruction, was trapped inside. As if on cue, Rune Lord Brax rode out to meet you and began chanting his spell. The ground shook, and ever so slowly, the Iron Fortress began to sink down into the wastes. From inside the sinking citadel, terrible unearthly screams rang out, but gradually, As the fortress sank lower and lower, they softened until only the groaning of the earth could be heard, and then, after a time, only silence. But take heed. To this day do not set foot upon the wastes, for it is said that at night the echoes of Gorgon's last scream can still be heard and can drive a man to madness.